Welcome to the Realty Rundown, the podcast that cuts through the noise of the real estate world. Your hosts, seasoned industry experts Nic and Nate, are here to guide you through the entire process. Each week, they're breaking down the latest market trends, decoding complex jargon, and sharing insider secrets you won't find anywhere else. Whether you're buying your first home, selling a property, or building an investment portfolio, we provide the clear, actionable advice you need to make your next move your best move.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Realty Rundown from the Nic Wyse team at RE/MAX Results. I'm Nic Wyse, joined with me by my co-host, Nathan Schwartz.
That's right. Hello, hello.
Nate, today we're getting a little spooky, if you will.
Right.
We're going to be talking about psychologically affected homes, or as most buyers like to call them, haunted houses.
Oh, yeah. And it's a perfect timing given that we just had Halloween a few weeks ago. But this isn't just ghost stories. It's actually law. But did you know that in Indiana, you don't have to disclose if someone died in the home or if it was the site of a crime unless you were directly asked?
Yeah, that's the key, right? Being asked. So, yeah, we have our disclosure statements, like all the material stuff about the home. But these are psychological defects, things that be more in the mind. So, Indiana Code 3221-6-3. Hut. Oh, sorry. I reverted back to football. Oklahoma.
It's that time of year.
That is the Indiana Code that spells this out. Basically, the law says that property's so-called psychological impact isn't that material defect. And think of a material as something you can touch. So that means sellers and agents are not required to volunteer that information up front. So unless you're asked, no one's obligated to tell you if there's been a crime, a death, or something infamous that has happened there.
Yeah, so let's run down the list real quick. So under Indiana law, the seller or agent isn't required to disclose if an individual died on the property or in the property, or that the property was a site of either a felony, a criminal organization, the discharge of a firearm involving law enforcement, or the illegal manufacturing or distribution of a controlled substance.
Yeah, and that last one is a little iffy. So it's almost more so like we do have a form called the seller's disclosure, and it says on there, have you manufactured or sold meth? More so manufactured or dumped the waste from.
Right.
This psychological aspect of it could also include, like, did the neighbors, so to speak. So,
right.
If you're on well water and the neighbor was a meth house, dumping the meth waste down into the bathtub, seeps out into the septic, and then gets down into that wonderful groundwater, it's like psychological defect. So It's definitely something you kind of want to take case by case. But yes, Nate, those are absolutely the core of it. And that's why you hear it referred to as psychologically affected instead of stigmatized property. Basically, it affects how a buyer can feel about a house, but not necessarily about the structure. So psychological, not physical.
Exactly. And NAR even has a whole piece about this. They reminded realtors that these situations can range from deaths or crimes to supposed hauntings, paranormal activity, or even a seller with bad publicity. But the key is those aren't defects in the property itself.
Yeah. We've actually had people. The haunted house thing is so much fun. I've seen agents put little sign writers up and say "not haunted," or something like that. If the house has a reputation in the neighborhood for being haunted, but really, you're not selling a ghost here. You're selling square footage.
Yeah. So Nick, what should buyers do if they're nervous about buying a home with a history?
Yeah, and everybody kind of has different, takes on this. How sensitive are you to these kinds of things? So the simple answer is just ask. If it matters to you, you can ask directly, and the seller has to answer honestly. You can also do your own research. You can Google the address, check local news, talk to neighbors. If something's major, odds are that somebody knows it, that there's been some article written about it.
Yeah, and for sellers, if the home's history might make people uncomfortable, you don't have to bring it up, but sometimes honesty can build trust. So if it's going to come out anyway, it's better coming from you than a Facebook post in the neighborhood group.
Yeah, for sure. Those neighborhood groups. I've never been a part of one, Nate. Have you?
I haven't, no.
No. I kind of want to just jump into someone else's neighborhood group.
Yep.
Be like, did you hear about Shirley? And then just and hope there's a Shirley and just make up stories about it.
There's always someone in the neighborhood that knows everything. There's someone that's always been there for like 25 or 30 years where they know everyone in the neighborhood and what it's been through. So,
and they definitely want to know about who's moving in too.
Yeah.
We've met them. So for realtors, guys, if you're out there and you're listening, you're a realtor, our job's to know the line between what's required and what's ethical. Of course, we always, Nic Wyse team, me and Nate, that was one of the things that we've always said. We're going to operate in the highest ethical fabric that we can. So it's our job to not mislead or conceal physical defects, of course, but we also don't want to sensationalize a home's past. So we're going to try and stick to the facts and not folklore, if that makes sense.
Yeah, exactly. Kind of like how Indiana law basically says, a ghost doesn't count as a defect, so pretty much move on. Get out of here.
Yeah, that's right. It's not listed as a defect. So you can't exactly call your home inspector and be like, hey, can you bring an exorcist with you? Because before we move in here, you're going to have to do that after you move in, I guess. But, I'd pay good money to see that inspection report. Minor cracks in the foundation, possible poltergeist.
Recommended repair.
Recommended repairs. Call a priest. I love it. And a sage, right?
Well, guys, we're keeping it short here, so I'll sum it up for us. Again, psychologically affected homes or stigmatized properties may have emotional baggage, but in Indiana, you don't have to disclose it unless you're asked. So for buyers, do your research. Sellers, know your rights. And agents, always stay ethical and clear about what's required.
There you go. Nailed it, man. All right, guys. Short episode this week. That's episode 45 of the Realty Rundown. Remember, whether it's haunted, hyped up, or just needs new paint, Nic knows. Get your wise replies. We'll help you.
That's right. Thanks, guys.
See you next time, everybody.
And that's a wrap on another episode. Thanks for tuning in. We hope you had as much fun as we did. We love sharing real estate insights, but as you can see, we also love to have a good time. This energy and passion is what we bring to every client. Buying or selling a home is a huge deal, but it doesn't have to be stressful. With the right team, it can even be fun. Ready to make your move? Let's connect.